Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to all of you here at the St. Regis Hotel in New York City for the Baseball Hall of Fame and Baseball Writers Association of America press conference to introduce the class of 2019 from the BBWAA ballot. I'd also like to welcome all of you watching on the MLB Network. From your right to left on the dais, it is my pleasure to introduce Jack O'Connell, Secretary-Treasurer of the Baseball Writers Association of America, Jane Forbes Clark, Chairman of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, 2019 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Mariano Rivera, 2019 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Mike Mussina, 2019 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Edgar Martinez, and the President of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, Jeff Idelson. Fellow 2019 Hall of Famer Roy Halladay will be honored posthumously in Cooperstown this summer. We welcome with us today Brandy Halladay and their sons Braden and Ryan. Also here as part of our electee families today, we're very happy to have with us Edgar's wife, Holly, their children Tessa and Jay, Edgar's brother Elliot, Holly's very close friend Christy. We have Mike's wife Jana, Mariano's wife Clara. Thank you all for joining us. We're also honored to have with us today another member of the baseball family, representing the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman, and from the Major League Baseball Players Association, Leonore Colon. Thank you all for being here. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Jack O'Connell, Secretary-Treasurer of the Baseball Writers Association of America, to say a few words. Jack?
Thank you, Shasta, and welcome everyone. Allow me to get personal for a moment. This was my silver anniversary conducting BBWA elections to the Hall of Fame, and I was able to celebrate my 25th election by informing a player that I covered from the first day of his Major League career to his last, Mariano Rivera, that he was named on every single ballot, something I never thought I would say, something I never thought I would see, and there is no more deserving individual of that distinction than Mo. But it is important to note that the magic number remains 75%, a figure never attained by anyone who lived in the White House. When you're in that conference room, anyone, when you're in that conference room in the Ernst & Young building in Times Square with me and Mike DeLisi, who's here today, you realize the difficulty of that achievement. For every 40 ballots, you have to be on 30. For every 80, you have to be on 60. For every 400, you have to be on 300. That is the high bar that was cleared by one of the game's most distinguished hitters, Edgar Martinez, and two of the sport's most consistently effective pitchers, Mike Mussina and the late Roy Halladay. They passed the most difficult test. They made the grade that will get them through the gates at Cooperstown. The baseball writers thank the cooperation of the Elias Sports Bureau in creating the player bios, and our friends from the Hall of Fame, Craig Muter and Jackie Brown, for their diligence in getting out the ballots. They mailed out 428 of them, and we had 425 returned, more than 99%, an indication of how seriously the writers take this responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. And at this time, I'd like to invite Hall of Fame President Jeff Idelson to give a few remarks.
Thanks, John. Jack, nice words. On behalf of Jane, our board of directors, and the entire staff at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, we're delighted you could join us. Jane and I would like to commend Jack and the baseball writers for the yeoman work in evaluating candidates for the Baseball Hall of Fame year in and year out, which we all know is not an easy task. And to echo Jack, a special thanks to Ernst & Young, our valuable partner since 1996, especially Mike DeLisi, who's been there for every step of the way. Thank you, Michael. One of the most difficult career paths in the world is to the major leagues. And in the long history of professional baseball, 19,429 men thus far have been privileged to wear a major league uniform. And of them, 1%, 1 out of 100 make it to Cooperstown. So that's really how special this honor is. And the men sitting on the dais who were elected to the Hall of Fame today and Roy are among those select few. The hallmarks of the class of 2019 are its diversity, its dominating pitching, and its pure hitting. And when you consider the 4 players whom the writers elected yesterday and include Harold Baines and Lee Smith, Hall of Fame roster has now been bolstered with 6 bona fide superstars, including 2 starting pitchers who went deep into games, 2 closers who dominated, and 2 guys who were completely pure hitters who helped open games up. The 4 players elected by the writers are richly deserving when you consider each one's body of work. Over 18 seasons with the Mariners, Edgar batted .312 with 309 home runs and 514 doubles, retiring as the all-time leader on his for his franchise in runs, doubles, walks, RBIs, extra base hits, and total bases. Think about Mike, remarkably consistent. He won 15 or more games and also logged 200 or more innings 11 times, earning Cy Young Award votes 9 times. And he was among the top 5 American League pitchers in earned runs on 7 other occasions. And he was 117 games over 500. Nearly 2/3 of his 270 wins came in hitters' ballparks, Yankee Stadium, Camden Yards, and Fenway Park. Doc won 66% of his decisions, 20th best in history. He won a pair of Cy Youngs. Power pitching workhorse who had 5 200 strikeout seasons, logged 200 or more innings 8 times, led his league in complete games 7 times, and his career total of 67 are still the most in the majors since he debuted in 1998. And Mo was Mo. When he was on the hill, as we all know, with his signature cutter in tow, it was lights out, game over. Ranks first all-time in saves and games finished. 17 full seasons. His ERA was under 2 11 times, and his lifetime 2.21 ERA is the lowest in baseball over the last 90 years. You want to throw in postseason, 96 games, 42 saves, 0.70 ERA, 5 championship rings, and perhaps the last player ever to go into Cooperstown with the number 42 on his back like the great Jackie Robinson. So in summary, I think it's fair to say that this class dominated on both sides of the ball, and we're completely thrilled to have them in Cooperstown. So guys, you're now teammates forever on the greatest team ever assembled, the Hall of Fame team, giving you all lifetime contracts. Can't go anywhere. Brian, I'm really sorry. They're now off limits. But we're thrilled to have you come to Cooperstown. So without further ado, we'd like to ask you to stand up, take off your jackets, and put on the jersey of your new team, your final team, the Hall of Fame team.
I'm glad I could help you. That's right.
Okay.
No, basketball. I don't.
This was my moment and then he started video coming from the bottom. This was my
I haven't buttoned up the jersey in 10 years.
years. I can tell.
Thanks. I didn't have to look though. I did it without looking.
You like man. Yeah, I got the buttons.
Yes. Is it this one?
You see, I told you.
Oh, I always keep that open. Maybe that's the problem. All right.
It's like this almost.
Just put your hat on.
You guys want to do a photo between Jack and the sides?
Step forward. There you go.
Going to pose for just a couple photos here. We'll do one with the 3 in their new uniform. Okay, great. Thank you all. We'll get these chairs back.
Never tell you when I signed in New York, took all these gazillion pictures of it. I told him that's enough, man. Stop thinking. Right in the middle of it. They're all
Right in the middle.
I said that's enough.
At this time, we will ask the new members of the Hall of Fame here with us today to share an opening remark, and we will start with you, Edgar.
Right. I'd like to express I want to say thank you. Thank you to the writers for giving me the support all these years, especially this year. This is a great honor, the ultimate honor as a baseball player. We play the game and to win every year. But at the end, after a lot of work, this is the highest honor. So thank you to all of you for giving me the support. I wanted to congratulate Mike and Mo and Roy's family for this great honor. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Edgar. And Mike?
Obviously, we want to thank everyone. I'm just really surprised that I'm even here this year. Caught me off guard quite a bit, but everybody's support from the first year. And I want to say thank you to the 20% that voted for me the first year, that kept me on the ballot so I could work my way up slowly. So thank you to those guys, and thanks for everyone for supporting us. We all appreciate it, especially me and Edgar, guys that have been on the ballot for a few years, and it's a tremendous honor. It's a long time since I sat in a press conference with all these cameras flashing in New York, but it's just as exciting as it was the first time I came, and I'm thrilled to be considered with the other great players in the game, with the guys I'm sitting with, and thanks to everyone, and congratulations to my teammate and my new teammate, and to the Halladay family, and it's a great honor. Thank you.
Well, I want to start saying thank God for this great accomplishment. It would have been impossible for me to achieve it without his help. So to my wife, my family, baseball writers, you guys are the best. And it's just a privilege, I remember coming from a small fishing village called Puerto Caimito in Panama, and just me being here speaking about Hall of Fame is something that my mind can comprehend. But at the same time, I'm thankful to the Lord because He allowed me to make that happen. And Edgar had to take me to dinner maybe tomorrow or one of these days because because his average was better. So therefore you owe me dinner. All right, I'm so happy to see these men here. Edgar, Moose, and Halladay family. Because those guys made me better. I remember speaking to. I got in trouble, by the way. You guys owe me to another dinner because 2008, Halladay and myself, we were talking in the outfield about pitching. We always talk about pitching, and I was teaching him the grip or the quarter, and he did. Actually, he was throwing the pitch, and Derek and all the hitters from my team were mad at me. Matter of fact, I got fined by our kangaroo court because Halladay was so good against us, and they blamed me. I said, "You guys didn't hit the ball, not me." But it's amazing. Amazing that I'm here talking about Hall of Fame, and again, thank God for that, and thank you very much for all of you to be here and allow me to be one of the boys. Thanks.
Thank you all for those remarks. And now we are ready to begin the Q&A portion. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Stephen or Troy will bring you a microphone. So please wait for the microphone. Then you can state your name and affiliation, and please indicate to whom your question is intended. And we can start over here in the middle.
Bill Atson, MLB.com. Congratulations to all of you. This is for Edgar and Mariano. Edgar, you have a .579 batting average against Mariano.
Why you have to say that? just say the number, but don't say the number. The average, all that stuff. Am I right?
Hey.
By the way, thank you.
I helped you too.
You did?
Yeah.
Not as much as I did.
Not as much as you, but I
Yeah,
helped.
that's what I said.
Edgar, how tough, why was it, I guess, easy to face Mariano? And Mariano, can you talk about how tough it was to face Edgar?
Wait a minute. I have to say something. You know, was that easy, Edgar?
No, that was tough.
Okay,
That was
okay.
tough.
He said it was easy.
So, yeah. Facing Mariano it's always was a challenge. I might have some numbers, good numbers, but when you come in late in the game to face Mariano, you know that it's going to be a challenge. Every at bat, even you get a hit, it doesn't feel like you're getting a hit. It's a tough. He's one of the best in the history. And his consistency through the years is like the best ever. So it never feel comfortable. I might got lucky a few times, but never feel comfortable.
You want me to answer that question? It was tough. That's one of the guys, especially in my young career, my first few years, I didn't want to see Edgar in a tough situation. As a matter of fact, I used to tell Joe, Joe, if you put the second base or bring in Paul O'Neill right behind second base, we might get him out. Because that was a hole that he was living in that place. It was amazing. Again, when you face a hitter, the type of hitter that Edgar was, you have to really, really bring your game. Because if not, he will have you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner like he did me.
No,
But it was good. It was good.
I have to say something about there was one at bat that I will change pretty much.
Yes.
All those hits.
Thank you, Edgar.
Just to get one hit in that at bat. And I can remember what was the series. It was 2001.
Yes, sir.
So the game is on the line. It's I'm the last out of the game. So Mariano always will throw the quarter, and I'm like, okay, he's going to throw a quarter. I'm going to look middle away, like I always did. And then Mariano, I don't know where, the first sinker I seen of Mariano my whole career, he threw a sinker in, and I just hit a weak fly ball to, I think it was left field.
Left field.
Game over, we're going home. So we went home. I wanted to trade all those hits just for that at bat.
We have the next question on the left towards the back.
Hi, Kelsey Hennigan, MILB.com. This question's for all three of you. I know you all spent varying amount of times in the minor league, so what did that time in the minor leagues mean to you, and how did it help shape your career?
Who wants to start that one? Moose?
My minor league career was interesting, I would say. I was only there for a year. I started in Double-A in Hagerstown, Maryland. First bus trip, I got my luggage run over by the bus. So that's how it started for me. First game I actually pitched, it rained so hard they couldn't get the tarp on the field. So I pitched 2 innings, and so it didn't really count. So I got 2 debuts in the minors, which doesn't happen all the time. And, they just let me pitch, though. And they tried to teach me a few things, and I talked to some older players. And that's kind of how you do it when you're young. You just try to learn whatever you can and let some of the older guys help you. And that's all I tried to do. And I got lucky and got an opportunity at a young age. And when they gave me a chance, I did okay, and I got to stay in the big leagues, and that's pretty much how it happened.
Well, for me, it was a little different because, coming from Panama, I didn't know no English. And I remember being in Greensboro, North Carolina, my second year as a professional. And I used to go to bed. Few days I was crying. Not because the game to me was easier than I expected. But just the language factor, that was tough for me with communication. I couldn't communicate with my manager, with my pitching coach. baseball language in the field, we all know that, even though if you don't speak English or however language you speak. But when it comes to communication, if you don't speak that language, well, you'll be in trouble. And that was me. So, I mean, minor league shaped me in a way that after I learned the language, the game was a little bit easier for me than anything else.
I think for minor league for me, it was like Mariano at the beginning was tough. I was close to my grandparents and my family, so leaving as a young kid to play in the States, it was difficult at the beginning. But also, I think I learned a lot by coming to the States and played the game that I love. On the field, when I left Puerto Rico, I always, since a little kid, I had the ability to hit. I was a good hitter my whole, since I was a little kid. In the minor leagues, the first year was tough. I didn't hit well. Double A, I didn't hit well. But single A and triple A, that was my best years in the minor league. Now, the good thing about minor leagues is that you have the skills, you have the ability, but in minor league, you have good coaches that teach you to play the game right and teach you all the fundamentals that maybe as a young player in Puerto Rico or I didn't learn. So minor league is very important. It was key for my success.
Wonderful. All the way on the right.
Thanks. For Ed Randall with the WFAN in Sirius. Edgar, you hit 363 in AAA in Calgary, and they still sent you out. And then that year, you hit 345. What did the Mariner people say to you about why they weren't giving you an opportunity till you turned 27?
I think in those years, the Mariners, they had Jim Presley. He was great third baseman. He was doing well for the organization. I came back to play in the big leagues, but at the beginning, I wasn't as consistent as I needed to be to play every day. And I think it was 88. I came down to the minor leagues, I think 89 too. So I was like kind of up and down at the beginning. And I think it's just that I didn't was consistent right at the beginning. And when you're a young player trying to establish yourself in the big leagues, you have to be consistent. It's just the reality of the game. So I think that's why I was sent down in '89. I believe it was. I wasn't consistent enough.
All the way on the left.
Mariano, Andrew Rosario, New York Beacon, and Latino Sports, which you've been a great supporter throughout your whole career. Looking back on your career, is there one point that you realized that you could really be an effective closer in this game? And also, can you tell us what Mel Stoudemire meant to you in your career?
Thank you. Well, I mean, definitely when I have the opportunity to be a closer for the New York Yankees, and I realized that I have a good shot to do that job. I didn't expect it to be that well. I was just happy to do it. And but I was blessed that I have one of the best pitching coaches, and that to me was Mel Stoudemire. I remember after winning the World Series in '98, we went to instructional baseball to go and throw some pitches to minimize the amount of pitches that I was using for every outing. And to me, that was one of the best things that I did in my career because, that helped me. I think that was one of the reasons why I was able to pitch for so long, because I was using less pitches, and that was that I can say that I was the help for my longevity in the game. But I had to attribute that to Mel because he was a person that always want me to be successful and want me to be the best, and he always tried to bring the best out of me. So I mean, definitely, that was the person that make it happen. Thank you.
Tyler on the right.
Yeah, Tyler Kepner with the New York Times. Mike and Edgar, we touched a little bit on Edgar's battles with Mariano, but Mike, as you mentioned, he handled you pretty well too. You obviously had a ton of weapons to go after.
That's why he's sitting up here,
Yeah,
Tyler.
right? But you had a ton of weapons to go after hitters with. What frustrated you about Edgar, and what, from a technical standpoint, made him such a tough out? And Edgar, if you talk about Mike too.
Well, I think, you know, the guys for me and for Mo and for Doc and the guys that are willing to use the field from the left field line to the right field line, who don't want to pull the ball all the time, who don't want to hit the ball off the fence all the time, who just, the phrase is they take what we give them. And if I throw him down and away and he's going to hit a line drive to right field. If I try to throw him down an inning, it's a line drive to left field. You know, he just, and he had that ability. He saw the ball that well, and it didn't matter what I messed. I could have a different order of pitches. I could have tried fastball first, breaking ball first, got ahead in the count, got behind in the count. It didn't matter. When you're successful and as good a hitter as he was, then you just, listen, I'm going to throw it in the middle and hope he hits it really hard right to somebody, because if I try real hard and he still gets a hit, then it's just going to make me mad. So, and honestly, sometimes you do that. I say, listen, I'm going to throw a sinker right down the middle, man. Just hit it in the first two pitches and let's move on, because you're going to get a hit anyway. So, and that's the truth. And so, I mean, I don't know what my numbers were against him. I mean, we all know what Mo's numbers were against him because we brought it up when we got here. And he only had one pitch. I mean, come on. He talks about minimizing his pitches. He had one pitch. Cut her in, cut her away. Cut her in, cut her away.
Hang up.
He threw one sinker his whole life, one time. But you don't do what he could do and frustrate us as starters and pitchers like he could if you weren't willing to just take our best stuff and put it wherever you wanted to put it and not trying to do too much with the ball. And that's how I survived for as long as I did. Guys try to hit the ball off the fence too much, and I get in the ground ball to short or fly ball to center, and that's how I survived. And Edgar didn't do that. He just took a line drive to right field, and it's worked for him, and it drove in a ton of runs, and like I said, it frustrated me to death. So that's why he's sitting up here. He did that to everybody.
Right? Right. Mike was the type of pitcher that it never give you the same look. He changed sequence. He will elevate, change eye level, and that was difficult for a hitter. Just try to not do too much, just like he said, and that was my style. But like Mo, when it's a big at bat or a big situation, that's when they can succeed. They made their pitches, and like Mo, when he threw that sinker I wasn't looking for, Mussina will do the same thing. Sometimes it's 3-1, and you're thinking, okay, here is a fastball, and he will throw the cutter, and it looks like a fastball, and that's how, he will get you out. So, and again, because made those adjustments, that's why he's here too.
Sweeney on the left.
Gentlemen, congratulations. Good afternoon. Sweeney Murdy, WFAN.
Thank
For
you.
all three of you, you've obviously accomplished a lifetime's worth of stuff to get here. Do you have one favorite moment, accomplishment, memory on the field that sticks out to you as you sit here today?
I think for me, the biggest game and at bat, it was probably 95. in the Kingdom when we won. You know, that year, the team, we didn't know if it was going to stay in Seattle or was going to move to Tampa. I think that team, that year was big for us. And just to be able to win that series, that's probably one of the reasons why the team is there in Seattle still. So I think for me that was the biggest moment probably in my career.
Mike? Mo?
Well, I mean, mine wasn't just on the field because it's few of those. But I would say that my biggest moment just was wearing the uniform, wearing the pinstripes. You know, I was telling Mike Mussina that that was my time, putting my jersey on the field. I mean, on the clubhouse, day in and day out for all those years. That was a great moment because I always remember that, you know, all those players that were before me and representing the organization with the class and dignity. And, you know, I just was blessed to be in that same ballpark and wearing the same uniform. That to me was just the moment of feeling great about the uniform.
All right, Sweeney, I got two, okay? And they're pretty obvious ones. I think the relief appearance in the postseason game in front of him, that the now manager hit a home run for us and won the game. That was, you know, I'd never been asked to do that before. It was, you know, it's Game 7 of the ALCS, and the place is packed. It's Yankee Stadium, and I have to jog from the bullpen to the game mound in the midst of the game, and I don't do that. I walk in before everybody's there. People haven't got in from work yet. That's when I go out and I walk or jog to the mound from the dugout, not from the bullpen. So to get in there and do that with my heart pounding in my chest and being able to and be effective and get a strikeout and a double play to get out of that inning and give us a chance and pitch a couple more innings and give us a chance. It's just that was a big part. And then obviously the very last day of my career in Fenway Park, we got rained out the day before. When I woke up, the ceiling and the clouds were probably 300 feet off the ground. It looked like it was going to rain again. We're supposed to play a split doubleheader to end the season. And Girardi asked me which game I wanted to pitch, and I said, well, if we're going to play one, I got to pitch that one. So, and I got to pitch. I threw well and ended up winning my 20th game, the only time I won 20, and the last day of my career. So those two things really stick out for me anyway. Those are my two pretty memorable moments.
In the middle on the right.
Danny Torres, Latino Sports. This question is for Edgar, and before I begin, congratulations to everyone on the dais. Edgar, there's a small island in the Caribbean that right now is overjoyed, is extremely happy and very proud of one of their own. 1995, you talked about that year. Talk about that dream team, that Caribbean series, played alongside Roberto Alomar, Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, Carlos Delgado, etc. But if you could share briefly some of those moments from that dream team in 1995.
Yeah, I think what I remember the most is just looking at the dugout and looking at all the players in that dugout that year, and realizing that, you know, it's one of a kind opportunities just to have a lineup with all those players that you mentioned. They all have great careers, and that was the best team for many years and put together in Puerto Rico. Great moments. We had great series. I think we won 7 games. We didn't lose any game. I also remember looking at the stands and looking at the stadium packed every night. That was something that was fun to watch, because at that time the league did show some signs that the fans not many fans were coming anymore. But other than that, it was a lot of great moments in that series.
Over here on the left.
Robert Grayson, Sports Profiles. For Mo and Edgar, I was just wondering, Mo, you started out as a shortstop. Did you think this pitching thing was going to work out for you? And Edgar, the same. Did the DH, you think that was going to work out for you? And Mike, I was just wondering your thoughts on almost pitching a perfect game.
You guys want to go?
Well, I mean, for me, I mean, I just wanted to have the opportunity to be able to play the game that I love. And sure enough, I mean, I play all positions before, but I think that the good Lord have a position for me already picked. So I just have to follow it. And he allowed me to play and pitch. Well, though, I hated it to pitch before, so I fell in love after that. But it was amazing. I mean, taking the opportunity to learn a new position and doing it and learn how to do it and be successful doing it. I mean, it was grateful. The game it was more meaningful to me than before.
The DH, I think at the beginning, I felt like this might not be something. Definitely, I thought it. I didn't at the beginning. I didn't want to be a DH. At the beginning, I thought I don't want to be, let's say, put in the situation where if I don't have a good year, then my career could be short, could end. And that was a little bit concerning to me. But at the same time, I look at the reasons why I was given that choice. It was I was hurt, and I came from few injuries. My legs first were my knees, then my hamstrings, then the shoulder, and Lou told me, I just need you on the field. I need you to be in the lineup. And I couldn't fight against that. He was right, and I'm glad I did it. It worked out. I had a great year in '95, and from there, I ended up having a great career.
I did a lot of almost things, I think, people would say. I had a couple almost no-hitter. I had a couple shots at no-hitters, a perfect game. I almost won 20 a couple other seasons. I almost won the World Series. I almost didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. But I did, so. Yeah, that's my almost story. I can live with the other almost because I get to sit up here now.
On the right.
Ken Davidoff, New York Post. Congratulations to all of you and Roy Halladay. Mariano, being the first unanimous electee, do you feel like that's given you a bigger platform to do what you want to do? Do you feel like this is a life-changing honor?
Well, definitely. I won't call it. I will not call it a life-changing, but it's something special. Yes, and I wanted to take that opportunity to. My first year, 1995, I was in. There was a family, a man called Joe Fusina, that brought me to New Rochelle, and I fell in love with the town of New Rochelle. And reminded me my hometown in Panama, Puerto Caimito. And fell in love with the family. The family took me like one of their own, and we are still close to today. Therefore, we have a church in New Rochelle, which my wife is my pastor. And at the same time, I want to take the opportunity, and this is a blessing from the sky, from the Lord, that after I retire, my desire and my goal was to build a learning center in New Rochelle for the youngster of the town of New Rochelle. And I think that this is the greatest accolation or event that has happened in my life, because I want to take the opportunity to use this to build a learning center for the boys in New Rochelle. That's what, to me, I take the advantage and the opportunity that this blessing has given me. So, I mean, I cannot be more happier. And I will share with my family, my wife, and friends that it felt like when we won the championship in 2009 after being there for a few years and didn't win it. So, I mean, it was an amazing feeling, a great feeling being knowing that you were voted 100%. It was, I can comprehend it. But at the same time, I was grateful for. So thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
And back on the left.
Ron Blum from AP. For all three of you, are you surprised at how much the way the game has played has changed since your retirement? The rise of relief pitchers, the lessening emphasis of starting pitchers, the huge increase in shifts. And is that good for the game, do you think, or good for the fans, or good for the players?
We don't have enough time to talk about that. I was a starting pitcher, so it's the game's changed. The game always evolves. It always has. I'm not sure I love the way it's changed lately, but that's just the nature of it. If you can't, as a starter, if you can't get deep in games, you lose opportunities to win games, and you won't pitch as many innings. There's a whole list of things that happen. So, I'm as a starter, I'm not a huge fan of the way it's going, but you know, I'm not the one making the decisions. I'm an old guy now who just played a bunch of years ago, and that's just my opinion of it. But we could talk a long time about how the game is changing.
Definitely, it's a lot to talk about that, but I agree with Moose, and I just gonna leave it like that. He's the man. He just said it all.
Edgar?
Yeah, I think it's from offensive, the offensive side. I think the shift, it hurts some players, and you know, so much information today about both sides of the game, defensive and offensive. That's why we see in the shift. That's why we see, you know, pitchers pitching less. Whether affect the game, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I think I like to see hitters making adjustments, and if they've been shift, I like to see the hitter make an adjustment, even if it's with 2 strikes. They can be, you know, first pitch or be himself, but 2 strikes, just make an adjustment if being shift. But that's me. There is it's always a lot of conversations about how the game is changing, but I don't know. I don't know if it really is affecting it or not.
And back here, middle on the right.
Raúl Ramos for Con las Bases Llenas. Para Mo y Edgar, ¿qué ustedes le dirían a esos niños de América Latina y el Caribe que juegan descalzos y batean bolas de tape? What would you say to those kids in Latin America and the Caribbean that will play barefoot and hit balls made out of tape?
I think, you know, if the kids are playing, the game is so much fun. If they're playing the game, it's because they're watching and trying to imitate other players, and they just been dreaming about this game. One day to play the game, and I did the same thing. So I think you just keep playing the game. Just keep playing the game, and one day they could play in the major leagues, and maybe one day they're here.
That's it. I mean, you have to continue playing the game. Just love the game and play the game that you love. You know, I did it back home. You know, I mean, I had no shoes, so we had to be playing barefoot. And you know, if you got caught, well, thank God it wasn't my shoes, because that was the only shoes that you have. So I mean, for that, you just enjoy the game, and you know, if we can be a motivators or a example how to play the game and how to love the game and how to continue pushing forward and achieving your dreams. I mean, you just do it, you know, because it's nothing better than that if you just can accomplish what you dream of. So, I mean, I definitely will motivate them to continue playing the game that they love.
We have time for just a few more. All the way on the left, Marley.
Hi, gentlemen. Congratulations to you on the dais and to the Holiday family. If you'd be so kind, Edgar and Mariano, if you could answer in Spanish, please. I'm going to ask it both in Spanish and English. So outside of special elections or Negro League elections, this is the first time that we have two Latinos on the dais at the same time for the Hall of Fame. So this is a very special moment for all Latino fans. With Edgar and Mariano, I want you to talk to, please, about what this means to you. Edgar y Mariano, esta es la primera vez fuera de elecciones especiales y de las ligas negras que tenemos a dos peloteros latinos al mismo tiempo electos al Salón de la Fama, ustedes dos. Carreras muy distintas, muy, ¿verdad?, combinadas, pero muy distintas. Mariano y Edgar, si nos dicen en español, por favor, lo que significa para ustedes.
Para mí significa mucho, puesto de que viniendo de un país tan pequeño como nuestro Panamá, representando Panamá y representando Latinoamérica, teniendo una gigante nube de testigos, como dice la palabra, delante de nosotros, los Clementes y los Marichales que estuvieron delante de nosotros y nos enseñaron cómo hacerlo, cómo aceptarlo y cómo dar lo mejor de nosotros, y nosotros continuando ese mismo legado, para mí es algo especial. Y ahora que lo mencionas, no lo sabía. Es primera vez que dos latinos entran en el mismo tiempo. Esto es algo para nosotros, algo especial. Para mí lo es, puesto de que siempre di lo mejor de mi persona. Siempre traté de ayudar al equipo a ganar lo más que podíamos ganar y los muchos campeonatos que pudiéramos ganar. Así que para mí es un honor representar a nuestro Panamá y representar a toda Latinoamérica.
Igualmente para mí, como para Mariano, significa muchísimo. Es un orgullo y un honor ser incluido en el Salón de la Fama con otros puertorriqueños como Roberto Clemente, Orlando Cepeda, Roberto Alomar, Iván Rodríguez. Como puertorriqueño es un gran orgullo y sé que el pueblo de Puerto Rico y mis amistades y todo Puerto Rico está muy contento, y pues es un honor estar aquí representando a la isla de Puerto Rico. Y le mando un saludo cariñoso también.
All the way on the right here.
Hi, Jim Salisbury from NBC Sports in Philadelphia. Congratulations to all. We heard about Mariano's interactions with Roy Halladay. Mike, you and Roy both kind of thinking man's pitchers. I was wondering if you ever interacted with him about pitching and your thoughts on him as a competitor. And Edgar, how did Roy's cutter stack up against Mariano's?
Go ahead.
I never really stood in the outfield and never talked to Doc about pitching. I know he had I just thought tremendous stuff. I think he had a very heavy ball, and when he learned how to sink it and cut it, it really changed how he pitched and how effective he was and what he could do. And I mean, I bump into him once in a while in the weight room, and you know, he's more than focused on what he's trying to get ready for the next turn or whatever was going on. And you know, I never really had a chance to sit down and talk to him, but obviously he was there to he was there to pitch the whole game every time he took the ball, and it was his turn, and he was gonna stand there as long as he possibly could, and try to really stick it to you, and he did it a lot, and it was impressive to watch him throw.
We have one last. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. For me, when I face him, what I remember is that the movement on the ball, he can move in two directions. He can sink really hard, will use both sides of the plate, and also will cut it, and he will throw a breaking ball too. Pitchers that can do that is very difficult. And sometimes with his movement, all they have to do is throw him down the middle, and he gets a ground ball. So it always was challenging to face him. And he was one of those pitchers that you hope that maybe he gets out of the game early so you can face a reliever. But that's the kind of stuff he had. And you can tell that he was there competing, always very difficult.
And we have one last question towards the front on the left.
Mariano, ante todo, felicidades. Mi pregunta es, Daniel Reyes, ESPN Deportes de Nueva York, ¿cómo te sientes ser segundo electo al Salón de la Fama uniéndote a Rod Carew y Panamá tan pequeño, sin embargo, ya tiene dos?
Muy contento, Daniel, gracias. Muy contento, agradecido una vez más de parte del Señor, porque estaba hablando con Carew, con Ronnie, hace unos momentos atrás, y estábamos hablando de la oportunidad que el Señor nos ha dado para representar nuestro hermoso Panamá, y pues él siendo el primero y yo siendo el segundo de los pocos peloteros que tenemos en Grandes Ligas y que han pasado por Grandes Ligas, pues para nosotros, para mí es una honra. Y hablaba con él y manteníamos y teníamos de acuerdo lo mismo, que para nosotros es una honra, de la cual, representando a nuestro hermoso Panamá, con los pocos beisbolistas que han pasado en Grandes Ligas, pues tenemos ya 2 Grandes Ligas en el Salón de la Fama. Eso es para nosotros algo que no podemos pasar por alto, y tomo esta oportunidad para darle gracias a todo mi pueblo panameño que me ha apoyado, que me ha amado, que ha estado conmigo en todo el tiempo, y pues que Dios me lo bendiga de una manera especial. Gracias.
Squeezing in one last question on the right, Mark.
Mark Feinstein, MLB.com. Congratulations to all 3 of you and to the Halladay family. Mike, I know you addressed this briefly yesterday. With a night to sleep on it, have you given any more thought to it, which hat you'll have on your plaque?
We made it all the way through this whole thing, and you gave him one last question. No. We're obviously the situation is unique. I almost split my career down the middle with 2 organizations. I told you yesterday I can't. Right now, I couldn't sit here and choose one over the other. They're both instrumental to me sitting here. So I think we've got a little bit of time here to talk it over with the Hall of Fame and with the people there, and I think all of us put together will come to the right decision, whatever it is. But as I sit here right now, no, I have not decided. And thank you for the question. And I did want to bring one more thing up. If he's buying dinner for somebody and
For me.
for you, and somebody's, well, I don't know, but who? How many times did I set you up so you could sit up here? I think I'm really close to having the most. He saved the most games for me. It's close. I think Pettit might have passed this when he came. So I think you take me someplace. That's what I think. Olive Garden. That's right. We're going Olive Garden. We're going Italian, man. Let's go.
Well, thank you, everyone, for attending today's press conference. We look forward to seeing all of you July 19th to 22nd in Cooperstown for Induction Weekend 2019.